things. This is a clinical study that's in our actually science section of the website. And I'll just go through a few of these things so you can kind of get the idea. It's easier to show than to talk about it. But this is a clinical study that we did with Dr. Gaetan Chevalier, who's a nuclear engineer. And his specialty is laser spectroscopy. And this particular study was done with a multi-channel EEG. And as people get over the age of 70, they have very, very little stem cell activity in their body. And this is a brain scan that you're seeing here. So when you see these red areas, that's areas where the brain is basically out of balance. There's a more technical explanation for it, but in the interest of time, let's just say it that way. The different regions of the brain are not communicating with one another. And session 2 was taken 3 weeks after using X39. So what X39 was doing was reducing inflammation and getting the different regions of the brain to talk to one another again. And because the brain is controlling everything else that's going on in the body, this is going to be a way that we're going to improve health. Not only that, but we saw just within the first week of using X39, people's memory and focus was improving. So people actually see this as an improvement in overall brain health and cognitive function. And this was a gentleman, 67. He took a little bit longer. He took 6 weeks, which is session 3, to see a dramatic change, although there was an improvement after 3 weeks. So I'll go through these really quick. We have an unbelievable number of testimonials on very, very rapid wound healing. We went into a pre-launch in July of 2018. This was a gentleman in Italy that had open heart surgery and, of course, still had a scar a year afterwards. And 1 month after using X39, there was a reduction in the appearance of that scar. This was where X39 was applied right after surgery, and you can see that fantastic healing occurred. The patch, by the way, can be worn on the back of the neck, or some people like to apply it right where the injury is. Either way, it's going to work great. This is a young man that had a snowboarding accident, and within a couple of days, he had a very significant improvement. This was really phenomenal when we got this testimonial, and we've had many like it since then. This gentleman almost lost his hand in a car accident, and not only did the wound heal in about 2 months, and of course he regained the use of his hand, but there's virtually no sign of that scar just 2 months later. This happened in Denmark. Young boy, 9 years old, got his finger caught in a door, and the fingertip got sliced off. The doctor reattached it, and the fingertip started to die. The parents, fortunately, had a friend that was a distributor for LifeWave, gave the family X39, and 2 months later, the fingertip was just fine.
Amazing.
Now, we get, a ton of these testimonials from injury repair, but most people, let's say they're healthy, what are the benefits? And Rico, this gets back to your question. And this was a comment that David made earlier, is that as you continue to use X39, the cells are behaving like younger, healthier cells, because we're increasing the body's levels of copper peptide back to more youthful levels. So this is a woman, Mandy, in Australia, and she used our products for 6 weeks, and you can see the skin began to tighten, which is very, very common testimonial. But then after a year, there's a dramatic difference. Well, Mandy was on the patches for 2 years, X39 for 2 years, when she sent us this photo.
Amazing.
Wow.
So
That's a wow.
this is, this is why the company went from 23 million for the entire year of 2018, and we did $29 million in November, just this year. So we're way on track to do over 300 million next year, as Curtis mentioned. It's
Cool.
because when people go on the products and they get these kind of results, that they don't want to go off it. This would be a very typical testimonial that we get on what we call youth renewal. So one of the things that stem cells do are tighten the skin. Stem cells are going to release collagen to improve the firmness, tightness of the skin. Copper peptide acts to produce anti-inflammatory effects in the body. So you see an improvement in overall skin tone and, of course, a cleansing of the liver. Copper peptide's an antioxidant, and it also increases glutathione levels. So you see liver cleansing. So this would be a very, very typical testimonial. Now, I'd say this is not a typical testimonial. Not everyone is going to have results like this, although we do get testimonials like this all the time. But this is some very significant youth renewal that we see. And it's, we went from no business in Japan in 2018, and we did $180,000 in Japan for January of 2019. And this year we did about $100 million just in Japan. This again would be a very typical testimonial that we get from X39 after about 3 months of use. This is my favorite because it was our very first youth renewal testimonial. This woman is also from Denmark, and her daughter is a LifeWave distributor. And on picture on the left is when she started using X39 at 93. She was suffering from a number of very significant health problems, which we don't make any claims about. And so her daughter was thinking, well, I'll give my mom X39. Maybe it will help her with her the issues that she's having. And, quite frankly, people were pretty shocked at the improvement that she experienced after only 2 months. So that's why people, when they start using X39, they don't want to stop.